Okay, guys. Well, again, welcome to the senior job hunt or senior job search. And again, glad you are here. I want to be really honest with all of you right now about what's going on. This is going to be a tougher job market for you. It absolutely is. It is temporary, but we don't know for how long. Nobody knows for how long. I'm talking to employers who hope, hey, and they're even planning by June, we're up and running again. But I don't think any of us know that for sure. Regardless, there are jobs and opportunities right now. Definitely not as many as there were, for sure. At this time, we'd normally be flooded with opportunities. We aren't. What we're seeing a lot of are opportunities in advertising, marketing, content creation, social media, anything that can be done virtually. And fortunately, many of you as storytellers, regardless of your major, have a lot of these skills, okay? And the other thing that I want, and Karen wants you to know, is that we are here. We are here now. We are here when you graduate. We'll be here through the summer. All of our resources, coaching, everything, Klein Connect, whether we are virtual or whether we are in the office at some point, we are here. It may take longer to land, and so we will be providing extra resources and extra time to our graduates, okay?
Yeah, you can look at our resources just like you're still a student, even after you graduate. That first year, you can come to, make appointments with us, come to the job fairs, come to panel workshops. And it's the same with the Career Center, which is where I'm located. We work with all of our students. Your TUID, keep that active. You can use all the online resources from now until the time you retire. And then from 2 to 5 years with the Career Center, you get 2 appointments a year. So we are here to help. So if your job search is hitting a snag by July, reach out to us and come and meet with us.
Okay, I'm sorry, was someone talking?
Wait, so sorry, you just said we could keep our TUID and the TU resources until we retire?
Yeah. On as long as, well, the alumni want you to, because we can continue to reach out. So
How
for
do you
some
know
reason,
retire?
but maybe you'll never retire, but as long as your TUID is active, you can use any of the online resources that we have.
It's considered an execution file to say the decisioning logic is within Proact.
Okay.
Okay, so, all right. This is an old saying, getting a job is a job. It's more true now than ever. It's a job. And so I would treat this like you're starting a project. In fact, you've been working on this project all through college. You've been doing internships, or you've been getting relevant experience, you've been gaining skills, but now is pedal to the metal, right? And so you may want to start a journal or a spreadsheet or any way you would like to start this big project. It is a job, okay? And that means you've got to dedicate time to this every day right now. Some days it might be a little bit of time, sometimes it might be more time. We're going to talk today about how you're going to identify and connect with your network, because your network is going to be more important than ever. Even if you're saying, well, I don't know if I have a network, we're part of your network and we're here, okay? So that's to begin with. We're going to show you how to optimize your LinkedIn, your resume, and your cover letter for better results. Keep in mind we have individual workshops for each of these things and counseling for each of these things. So this is kind of the crash course today on everything, but if you want to go more in depth, we can either individually or in other workshops. We're hoping to help you create a targeted strategy. So you're not just spinning your wheels and applying to a whole lot of things where you're not going to get a response. And again, we're going to talk to you about all the free resources you have. Questions? All right, so we should start with networking, and LinkedIn is going to be incredibly, incredibly important. It's been important for the last 5 years. Now even more so because it is such a powerful virtual online networking tool. But before we talk about that, I want you to start with this. I want you to make a list. I want you to make a list when we get done with this workshop, I want you to, this is step number 1, list everybody you can possibly think of that's in your network, that supports you, that believes in you, or you know. This includes family who might be in the business, family who might have contacts. It is not cheating to know somebody, right? Friends you have, maybe that are already working in the business you want to be in. Former employers. If you did an internship before, even this semester or the semester before or a couple years ago, be in touch, especially now. What can I do for you? Do you need some help, right? Because almost all employers do. This is a good time to reach out and ask. Mentors to give you input. Professors, alumni. You got the Career Center. Think about fellow students you've been in, professional organizations, activities, fraternities, sororities, class projects you've worked with somebody on. Make the fullest list you possibly can about who's in your network, okay? And again, networking is going to be an ongoing activity. Every day you should be making some effort to network, and Karen will talk more about this in just a minute. And I would say, just create a goal for yourself. Think about connecting with 5 people a day. That's not saying, hey, 5 people, I need a job, but connecting, networking, seeing what you can do for them, maybe getting some input and advice, okay? Networking isn't always just asking for something. Okay, so again, some examples. Check in with your former internship boss or mentor. Do they need something from you? Can you help? Because if you help them now, they will be there to help you, right? A family friend in the business, can they look at your resume, give you some guidance? Now's a good time to check in with a professor maybe you've had a good relationship with, get some advice from them, okay? Hang on, I'm going to admit some people coming into the room, okay? Any questions so far? I'm just checking, all right. Be aware right now that employers are as stressed as anybody, okay? So if you reach out to people or a former boss or a mentor and you don't hear back like normal, please don't be offended or take it personally. Everyone is putting out fires right now due to what's happening in the economy, okay? They may be able to get back to you later, and when you do reach them, you want to be polite and sensitive and understanding that things are not normal for them at all either. And they may be making some difficult choices too, okay? Karen, any thoughts about that? Oh, she just left the building. Okay, all right. Okay. Let's talk about LinkedIn. I'm hoping you all have a LinkedIn profile right now. And by the way, if you have not started a LinkedIn, if there's anyone here who has not started a LinkedIn profile, I would say make an appointment with us or come to a workshop. Karen, we're at LinkedIn. I think, yeah, turn your mic on.
Yeah, no, I got a coworker here that's causing a lot of confusion. Yeah, okay, I'm here now. I'm here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, you know, the most important thing, and we want to talk about this, before you start connecting with people, you want to make sure that your LinkedIn is ready for prime time. And that means you want to have a good headshot. You want to have a nice banner that brands you in the background. You want a headline with keywords. And we're going to be talking a lot in the next hour about keywords and how important they are on your LinkedIn, on your resume, on your cover letter, everything.
Right.
Everything you do, you should be aware of keywords. We'll tell you more about that. What you don't want for your headline right now is Temple student. You have to start looking at yourself as a professional now. Karen, you want to talk about these particular profiles and what
Right.
on there?
Yeah, the way we look at these profiles is, you know, a LinkedIn profile is looked at the same way as your resume is. It's looked at for 10, 15 seconds. And if the employer can make a connection on your skill set and who you are as a professional as to what they need, they're going to continue to read the profile just like they do with the resume. So as we always tell you, that top third of your resume is important. So is the top third of your profile. You want to create a quick snapshot that directly relates to your industry. And you do that, first of all, like you said, through your headshot. The headshot is important because as soon as they're looking at your profile, the interview has begun. So having your headshot, wear to your headshot what you would wear to an interview, or create a whole image regarding your profile if you want to go in a more creative way. You know, take a banner that really catches someone's eye that reflects what you want to be doing, and then fill it with keywords from your industry. And we're going to be showing you some tools that you can use to see exactly what type of keywords that you need to have. So for instance, these are all Temple students, of course. The first one, radio and TV news production assistant, radio producer, award-winning multimedia journalist. We're talking about skills here: audio engineer, live and post-production, you know, television live. This is what you bring to the world of work. The young woman at the bottom, she was very interested in media and relations and different event planning and things like that. That's why she put that in her headline. But then we also have a young man that wanted his to be more of a branding type of situation, where he was thinking about law school and he really didn't know which direction he wanted to go. So he still was able to build a brand type of image that looks impressive when employers went to go look at their profile. And when you go to connect, when you are connecting and reaching out to connect with other professionals, I know when I receive an invitation from somebody, I go look at their profile and I see, well, is it worth it for me to connect with this person? And if you're showing that you're part of my industry and that you're learning tools and you have experience, then I'm going to connect with you. So it's not just employers that are looking at your profile, it's people that you want to build your network with. It's just as important in that aspect too.
Guys, if you are thinking, all right, well, what are the keywords that need to be under my name, and you're not sure, look at the job postings you're looking at. What keywords are you searching, and what keywords are they using? Because those are the keywords you want to use. In other words, this is a search engine and you want employers to be able to find you. And the best way for them to find you, one of the ways, is for those keywords to match with what they're looking for. That makes sense.
Right. And a lot of times what you can do is, if you really want to see if your profile is reading the right way, when you're on LinkedIn, go and hit your jobs tab and see what jobs they are recommending for you, because that is showing you that the search engine went in, reviewed your profile, looked at the keywords, and pulled all of these jobs from the search engine to see what fit. If you are not getting jobs that you are interested in, then you know you are not reading, you're not incorporating the right keywords into your profile. So it's just a real quick check that you can do.
If you have the right keywords, one of our students says it's like putting on a light switch. All of a sudden the right jobs start coming in, okay? So, and again, that's something we can help you with. The other thing that we see a lot of students and graduates not do, but it's really important, is to do this summary. It's, as you're building your profile, this summary is really important. And again, and hang on, I'm going to let Karen take over while I accept more people in.
And this is great because this is where you can really fill your profile with keywords that's necessary. One of the reasons why I like this summary so much is at the bottom, this student put, "This passion has led me to pursue opportunities in public relations, marketing, journalism, communications, and my past experiences range from nonprofit to communications and ranging from firms in the entertainment industry." They literally, with one sentence, incorporated over 10 different industries that they're going to be pulling from, not only from the search engine, but from different recruiters that might look at this and say, oh, wow, they have interest in this, this, and this. I'm going to contact them. So a lot of times with your summary, you can approach it in two different ways. You can, what I always say, you start with the current, talk about where you currently are. You know, as a graduating senior at Temple University, I'm doing this, this, and this. Then bring in the past. talk about the internships, the student orgs, the volunteering that you've done that relates to the industry you want to be in, and then talk about the future. And this is where I'd like to place this. So you can do it that way, or you can also, you can tell a story. I think you have the mouse still, Luann. If you don't want to use current, past, then present, and future, you can take one of these questions and answer it and make that the start of your summary. And if you're still stuck, reach out to Luann and I. We help students with summaries all the time. I also work with student athletes, and including Klein. I just helped 2 student athletes with their summary. We reviewed their LinkedIn profile. They sent me the summary. Karen, what do you think of this? And we edited it together and we put it up, and it looks great now. So this isn't something that you have to do on your own, but don't be intimidated by it, because it's a great opportunity to fill your profile with those keywords that are going to attract employers.
Let's just go back again. You don't have to answer all these questions in a summary. This might just be a prompt to get you going.
Right. Just pick one. That's all you need, because even though the summary allows you to have 2,500 characters, do not use them all. I have a background in advertising, and what we always used to say is less is more. That's what you want to be doing.
But this you should be doing. Make sure there's a way that an employer can easily contact you. If you don't want to use your phone number, again, at the bottom of your summary, at least an email there, so they can easily find you and they don't have to go searching. How do I connect with you? Okay. All right.
Because you know what also I've noticed, Luann, that's important too, because even though they may connect with you on LinkedIn and send you a message, sometimes I know on my email, my messages, that notification gets delayed. Like, I'm on LinkedIn all the time, 2 and 3 times a day, but if you're not, that's why you want to have that email there too.
Okay. So this is the, after you do your profile, this is the next thing you want to work on. And Karen is fond of saying, this is not your resume. This is different than your resume. The resume is where you've been. This is where you're going, but it's also you have more room to present everything that you've done. And it's not just internships or not just jobs, but you can put anything, a student organization where you got relevant experience, media experience on campus. All of those things should be in the experience section. Don't bury it on LinkedIn under activities.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you have samples of work that you've done for these student orgs. Like, I have similar bullet points on my resume that are also on my LinkedIn. But one of the things I've done on my profile is I will specifically put bullet points on LinkedIn where I have examples, media examples, that the employer can see that this is what I've done. When I say I created a newsletter for this, this, and this, that bullet point is on my LinkedIn, because then I show them a sample of the newsletter. Because we live in a visual world. So on a resume, it's a bullet point, but on LinkedIn, you can create a visual story to show these employers what you're doing.
Can you hyperlink things like that?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great idea.
Okay,
and I
so
would
that is
absolutely,
option.
yeah. And then you can also hyperlink in your professional summary too. If you have a portfolio, you have a website, I would put that link right in the professional summary so they see it. Put it in the first sentence. I'm a graduating senior. I have been working hard for the past 4 years. Take a look at some of the work that I've achieved. This is how I did this in an internship. This is what I did. You want to capture that as soon as you possibly can.
And each section, you can put media right under the summary, let's say your portfolio, but then in each section, when you're talking about different things that you did, you can put media, attach it, upload it to each of the different experiences. Okay.
You want to have something that captures their attention. Take some of the best work. If you're thinking about your portfolio or your website, take some of the best work that you have and put that on the LinkedIn profile so they see it.
Okay, so once you have all of this together, okay, once you have that great profile, once you have that great summary, once you've put all your experience in, then you are ready to connect. Okay. And you want to go back first and make sure you're connecting with your network. If there's anyone in your immediate network that you haven't connected with, you want to do that. You want to expand your network as far as you possibly can, because all of their connections will then be accessible to you as well as to second connections. We are not going a lot further with LinkedIn today, but we do want to talk about, well, how do you write a message? How do you approach somebody? And this is one way. Maybe you met someone at the Klein College Career Fair, and you want to reach back out and say hello, that you really enjoyed seeing them, appreciated their advice. You want to connect with them now on LinkedIn. I don't know, Karen?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, and you also, every time you want to connect with somebody, you want to make it a customized message. And it doesn't have to be long. Actually, LinkedIn doesn't allow for you to be long for that reason. But what I always like to say is, one of my favorite sayings is Steve Jobs says that you connect the dots backwards. And at first I didn't understand that. But when you think about where you are now, how many people and situations influence that you want to make sure you're planting these dots for how you want to move forward. And on LinkedIn, you can do it in all the different industries, but always give them a reason to connect. Never send out a canned message, because people will not respond to it. All right. And if you have a question, like we get confronted with situations all the time. Hey, Karen, I met this person. I don't know what to say. And we craft a message for them. It's not hard at all. And that's what we're here for.
Questions about, before we move on, I just want to make sure, because I know a lot of times you guys have a lot of questions about LinkedIn, how to connect. Yeah, Jenna.
I just had a specific question about removing like the Temple student from your headline. Like, is that something we can do now, even though technically we're still students?
Yes.
Okay.
And if
Do it
you
now.
want, I mean, Temple student can be under whatever you put
Yeah.
there. But at this point, I mean, you're what, 4 weeks away from graduation.
Right.
And
Yeah. And they're
Temple,
not,
Temple logo will be there.
Yeah. And then also too is they don't pay students money. You know, you're a professional now. You are a professional now. You're not a student. And if you still feel uncomfortable with that, some students, you know, everyone's confidence level is at a different, you know, where they want to be. But a lot of times students will say aspiring, you know, but I still don't like that for seniors, because you're a professional and you want to get paid like one. So that's why you eliminate those words from the profile.
Other questions about, other questions about LinkedIn, guys? Anybody? Okay. All right. Well, again, we have LinkedIn workshops where we go in more depth into how to connect. But you definitely want to make sure you're connecting with professors. You're getting those recommendations as well that you can get on LinkedIn.
The best way to get recommendations are to give recommendations. When somebody writes me a recommendation, I automatically feel obligated to write one for them too. Not that's the reason why that they did it, but that's just how I feel. So it's another thing with networking, Luann and I've talked about. I have 3 rules of networking. Networking is what you're only asking for information. You know, you're not asking for a job or for someone to look at your resume or even for a cup of coffee. You're just asking for information. The second rule is you're always out there doing things for other people. You know, always offer your advice, your support. How can you help? And third, you always say thank you. You always say thank you when you're out there networking with people.
But the other thing, you know, the other way that you should be using LinkedIn, guys, is that when you're going on an interview, by all means, you should go on LinkedIn if you know who's going to interview you, and you need to research the company and research the person who's interviewing you. They will see, yes, they will see that you look them up. They will not think you're being stalkery.
Yay, we want that, because
they want to see that you are doing your homework, okay?
Yep.
Also, while you're looking at the company, you may find people that you know, or people who are Temple Owls who work there. You might want to connect with them and see let them know you're applying for a position. Do they have any insight for you as a Temple owl? Recruiters, if you're applying into that deep dark hole with everybody else for a job, and you can find the recruiter for that company, you might want to send them a personal message that you're very excited. We've seen people do this because they're recruiters. That's their job, to recruit. And if you make that extra effort to connect, that could pay off.
Yeah,
May
I know
ask a
that.
question.
Sure, go ahead.
So I've been going on LinkedIn every day and applying to a bunch of jobs. And while I'm doing so, I've been looking at all the Temple alumni and reaching out to them. So I actually just heard back from a Temple alumni working at this, he works at a advertising agency in Philly, and I'm really interested in working there. So he actually sent me back the head of HR, their email address, and said if I needed anything, contact head of HR. I want to send an email, obviously, to like get my foot in the door even further. But as the head of HR, like, I'm not sure, because I'm not just like messaging someone being like, hey, do you have any tips or advice? Like, I'm also a Temple alumni. Like, this is the head of HR for the whole company. So I wasn't really sure like how to address an email to them. Like, what should be the content of it?
Well, first of all, you're going to say, that have you already applied for the position?
I applied to one position, but another one just opened up that I'm interested in, and I have not applied to that yet.
You want to let them know that you, that the whoever got in touch with you, gave you, I don't know, Karen, what do you think?
I think, I mean, first of all, right. Like, first of all, you want to thank that alumni for giving you that name, and then say, I'll make sure to keep you posted on everything moving forward. Then what I would say is, contact the director of HR and say, hi, John, a fellow Temple alumni, suggested that I contact you directly regarding a position that I applied for and another one that I think I may be a great fit for. Okay. Attached is my resume. This is why I think. You don't want to make an entire cover letter, but you want to make it a couple of lines to capture their attention on why you're a good fit. And if you need any additional information, please contact you, and I look forward to hearing from you. And then see what happens with it.
Okay.
The reason you want to drop that name in the email, and you might even, depending on that person's position in the company, and you have to be a little careful. Especially now, you might say, Joe Smith sent me. I don't know. What do you think of that?
I just say that he suggested, this Temple alumni.
In the subject line, as she's writing to HR.
I would just put application, or I wouldn't put his name, because she really doesn't have that much of a relationship with him. Have you built any? It's just, you just contacted him, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, it's not like you've had a one-on-one or anything like that with him, or he knows you that well, but I think it's
we had a great conversation, but I don't know him personally at all.
Yeah, but it's great you had a conversation with him. So that's good, because believe me, Luann and I can tell right away from a conversation whether we're going to recommend somebody or not. If they're not polished, if they don't have good energy, we're not going to take a chance and recommend somebody. So obviously you came across really well on the phone. I would just put, I would actually put maybe the name of the job that you're interested in, and then they're going to open it up because it's HR, but then put his name right in that first sentence.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions before we move on from LinkedIn?
And then also too is with LinkedIn, sometimes when you do those quick replies, have you guys all seen that? The quick reply where you can download your profile and you can apply for it. Sometimes on those quick replies, they will have the name of the recruiter who posted the quick reply. And when you see that name, that's when you want to go back to LinkedIn and say, hey, I just saw your name on the quick reply. I applied for this position. These are some of the things I think that are a good fit for me. I'd love to have an additional conversation with you. That is how one of our Temple students, Julia, I don't know, a lot of you know her, that's how she got her job at Urban. She did a quick reply on LinkedIn, a quick apply on LinkedIn. She found the recruiter's name and she reached out to the recruiter. And next thing you know, she developed a rapport with the recruiter, and that's how she got hired.
got
So
hired
those
at
quick,
Urbit.
yeah, at Urban, those quick applies might connect you directly to the recruiter. Some of them put their names on those quick applies. So take a look at that when you're applying that way.
Okay. All right. We should go over resumes, and we're not going to do the whole, every single step. I decided what I want to do is show you senior resumes and just go over a few things, because your resume now is going to change a little bit. In the past, for most of you, education was at the top. Oh, I don't see education on here at all. Hang on.
It's there. It's at the bottom.
You see it there?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh,
It's right there.
oh, you know what? I can't see it because I've got all your faces covering it.
Okay, it's there. It's there.
All right.
It's at the bottom.
This is, these are all real resumes of real seniors who have graduated from Klein College, okay? So the thing is, employers really want to see your relevant experience. So that generally goes to the top. Your contact information goes to the top. You want to change your emails, guys. So it's not a Temple email anymore, right? Because that screams student. Now, once again, you're a professional.
And also too,
We
you
get
want
to
to see
keep our
that.
Temple emails though, don't we? Because we get to keep
Yeah.
our IDs.
Yes,
Yeah, you
but I'm
absolutely
just
keep your,
saying,
but don't
put
you,
it here.
yeah, put a Gmail on it. And then also too, you see that how they have the LinkedIn profile right there too. Make sure once your profile is ready to go that you put the profile on there. And then also too, make sure your voicemail is professional. So when an employer calls you, they're hearing a bright, articulate, polished professional. So just, hi, this is Karen. I'm sorry, I'm not here right now. I can't take your call at the moment. Please leave a message and I shall return your call as soon as I possibly can. Do not make it casual. Make it a polished voicemail. The majority of, go ahead. The majority of employers are going to contact you first through email, but sometimes you never know. And also too, if you're on your, if you're out and about, not that many of us are out and about now, and you see a number, maybe, you know, you're, well, in the future, when we're all out and about, and you see a number that you don't recognize, and you're sitting in with a group of friends, or you're in a restaurant, and it's busy, don't pick the phone up. Let it go to voicemail, because the last thing you want is to be talking in a crowded place. You're not prepared. You're you know, don't have your stuff ready. Just let it go to voicemail, pick it up, get to a quiet place, make sure you know what the job is, and get prepared on what you want to say. So if you start seeing telephone numbers you don't know, let it go to voicemail. Just a tip.
No, that is really good advice. The other thing I want to say about where you see this LinkedIn, for example, make sure you customize that LinkedIn so you don't have the ugly numbers and letters at the tail end. You can Google how to customize that so it looks more like this. Also, if you're an MSP or you have your portfolio, and that's very important in your industry, then that should go up here as well. Right up at the top. Don't make it hard for employers to find it. Also, don't bury your contact information at the bottom somewhere. We see that sometimes. You want it right up there at the top, or if you have two columns, I'll show you this in a second, somewhere near the top. If you do have a rockin' GPA, by all means, put it down with education, all your honors, all your academic honors. This is the last time as you graduate. It's probably, unless you're going to grad school, it's probably really, really important where you can brag about all that. If you don't have a great GPA, do not put it down, okay? If for some reason in the job posting, they're looking for a minimum GPA and you meet it, by all means, yes. Comcast, they always put 3.2.
Yeah.
And if you are applying to a place like Comcast and they don't see a grade point average above that, they will assume you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is where you're looking for specific things in the job postings. In your keywords and in your job postings, be very, very aware. I see Megan here. We did this with her yesterday. We were looking at a job posting and we literally tore the job posting apart. looking at all the responsibilities, all the keywords, everything they were looking, and where we felt like she had that skill and it wasn't really on the resume enough or emphasized enough, we went back and peppered those things back in, right? And I'll show you why, again, why those keywords are very, very important on your email. Again, it's got to be one page, guys, and unless you're an advertising copywriter, you are probably not and should not use the word I. You're also going to see, I personally don't like objectives. I do see some good career summaries. They take up space. If you write if it's very specific and really wonderful, okay, but if you just want to say, if it's a generic, I'm graduating and want to use my skills at a great company, that does nothing for you. I'd rather not see it.
Yeah,
Karen?
it's wasted space. I mean, that's high-end real estate at the top third of your resume. And when you're applying, the employer's thinking about what can you do for me? They really don't care what you want to achieve. Now that's part of the interviewing process, but in the 15-second snapshot, when there's 100 resumes on the pile, they really don't care what your objective is. They want to see what you can do for them. So always remember that in all of your job tools. And then you decide through the interviewing process if that's a good fit for you.
This is, again, a real resume. I cut off the contact information at the top, but imagine the contact information is there. Sometimes I hear from students who say, I can't possibly get all of this on one page. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And we can help you do that. You shouldn't be eliminating at this point anything from your resume. There's a way to get it on your resume. You'll notice 3 bullet points is generally all you should need for each thing. Now, let's say you don't have a lot and there's one big thing, one big internship, one big project that you did. Yes, maybe you want to do more bullet points, and that's something we can talk to you about. There's no limit to the number of skills. Again, we're talking hard skills here. Okay. Your resume might look very different than this. It's got to tell your story. So if you don't see a resume that you feel like is a good kind of template for you to tell your personal story, we can work with you on that. As a rule of thumb, the most important things need to go to the top, and the less important things are going to the bottom. And everything on a resume has got to go in reverse chronological order. Okay. Let me show you.
Can I ask a question real quick
Yeah,
about
yeah.
skills?
Go.
What's
that,
still
Jacob?
worth putting on hard skills? I had a professor recently tell me that like there was honestly no point in putting like Word and things like that anymore. Is there value in still having something like that on there as long as you have like a bunch of other skills?
I think if it's in the job posting, put it in.
Okay.
Because if it goes through an ATS, which we'll be talking about, it's going to be looking for Word, PowerPoint to up your ante of percentages that you have. But I mean, I agree with the professor. Most people, we all know Microsoft Office Suite, but if they mention it in the posting, put it in your resume. If they don't, then you can eliminate it. But I would just put it just as a keyword because you don't want to be eliminated for that.
I honestly, I don't think it hurts at all. And I do see it in a lot of job postings. You see it? Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Yep.
You see it in the job posting and it's not on your resume and you have that skill. By all means, you want to go back and put it in your resume or put it in your bullet points. And again, the bullet points, you want to be as descriptive as you can. The other thing I see, especially for those of you who have campus experience, sometimes you'll put TU-TV or WIP or WHIP, but you won't explain what that is. And this is a good example where, because employers who didn't go to Temple might not know what that is. So don't keep them guessing. This is a good Temple University's digital cable station, right?
Yeah. Especially for those who are, especially if you're going to be applying for positions out of Philadelphia. If you're applying out in California, New York, DC, they might not know what TU-TV is, but hopefully they do. I mean, it was a #1 student run station in the country last year, but you just never know.
No, but I mean, if your employer went to Villanova, or your employer went to Penn, or your employer went to, they will not know what this
That's
is.
true. Yeah.
Okay, so don't assume that they do. And again, if you have a lot of relevant experience, and then you do want to mention your work experience, but you don't want to take up a lot of real estate, this is a way to do it. You know, Johnny Brenda, server. Okay, yes, you've held other jobs. Let's say that you've been working through college and you didn't get a chance to do a lot of this. Then we want to have a different conversation about what we're doing with your resume to tell that story, right?
Right.
So
If you're
this
sitting
might-
out there,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. If you're sitting out, I mean, because it happens, you know, I've worked my way through college, and a lot of times you just do not have the time. So what you can do is think about class projects, you know, projects that you did in class that would directly relate. I mean, we don't just come to college for internships. You are learning something in your classes all the time. Press releases that you wrote, campaigns that you had to do, group projects that you worked on. You can always incorporate those into the resume, especially if they associate directly with the position you're going to be doing. And if you have it, you know, you don't know how to do that, reach out to Luann and I will be more than happy to provide examples for that.
By the way, all these resumes and more are in Klein Connect under resources. So if you go to your home page and you scroll down the menu to Verified by Klein and Resources, you can open it up and find a whole lot of different resumes and templates. If you are a creative, and I mean you're definitely applying to creative agencies, especially in advertising, you can use a little color. You know, if you're in graphic design, they don't want to see some canned template. They want to see a design, right? If you're in copywriting, they want to see your wordsmithiness, which usually comes in something like this. This is about me. Copywriters have the most unique resumes. So if you're in that situation, you know, you really want to get some feedback from your professors on that creative resume. And we can help you as well.
So that
Go ahead.
about me is a good idea to have on there, even though the resume isn't going to be very big. It's a good idea to
You're
have
in
that there.
journalism. You're in journalism, right? I would not do this.
Okay.
Okay. You're
Yeah,
in
no,
journalism. This is not for you, unless you're doing something very, very creative. Okay. The more creative the job, the more creative your resume can be. But even if it's creative, you don't want it to be so distracting with so much stuff going on that they can't, then they just think you're just hiding a lack of experience or something. Okay. So this is where you have to be careful, and it's good to get some input. What do you think of this? And pass it by a few people before you start sending it out.
what happens if
You may
you're
also, hang on a second, Hal. You may also want to do a creative resume and a plain, simple resume, because some of these have a very difficult time getting through applicant tracking systems. You know, the lines, the colors, the things may not go through well.
this might be jumping to conclusions, but or jumping outside the area of what we're discussing right now, but one thing I might do is there's certain organizations that literally just want you to send them your CV right out of the gate. Like, what should I do in that case? If it's just like, for example, there's one news organization, it's just like, send your CV to this email address. Should you just make like a custom, what should you do when they just give that? Like, if there's an organization that's just like, reach out to us about a job application, like, should you assume you want to call them, or like, what should the assumption there be if they just want your CV, if they just have a CV hiring email?
Well, I'd have to take a look at it, Hal. But I mean, also when you say CV, you're talking about more of an academic kind of document. So
Yeah, it gets,
Yeah, no, I'm talking about like there's one news website that's just like send your CV here, and it's like I don't really know what to send for that. Should I send a cover letter and a resume? Should I send just a resume? Should I send like a nice note in my resume? Should I just ask if they're hiring at all and not send any of those things?
That's a, I would send the resume. And then also, if there is an email or way you can communicate, send an email with your interest. I would really, I would research them.
Right,
Let's talk about this
yeah.
offline. We could take a look at it, okay? But yeah, you should go ahead and send your resume. Maybe they just want to look at resumes first. But it doesn't hurt to try to connect in another way as well.
I had a
Right.
question about like the education part of the resume.
Yeah.
So I went to Bucks before starting at Temple. Should I take that off since I'm graduating Temple now? I didn't know if I should leave that on or just take it off.
You
I'm
just want to,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I actually worked at Bucks County Community College, so I'm familiar with it. Yay, Bucks! Is if you got some type of degree from Bucks, if you got an associate's degree or some type of certificate there before you left, did you get an associate's or did you
Yeah.
transfer?
I
Then
got the
you-
associate's before.
Yeah, you want to put that on there. If you got
Okay.
an associate's degree, you want to put that on there. That would be, your Temple education would come first, and then the Bucks County
Mhm.
Community College associate degree would come second. You can put
Okay.
it on after that.
So for
Okay.
example, you would put, let's say it was this resume. You'd put
Mhm.
all of this, then start over with Bucks.
Right, you use the
Okay.
same format. And that goes for somebody who's transferred from another school. If you transferred from Arizona or Penn State, but you didn't really get, you didn't accomplish a degree or certificate, then you don't put that on the resume. You just put Temple, because that's all they're concerned with.
Is
The
that
only-
like 100% necessary though
No,
like I'm in
no.
the same boat. Okay.
No, you also, yeah, if you don't have room and you don't have a story to tell from that school that you want to tell, you're graduating from Temple. You do not have to put your
Mhm.
community college. But even, and I would disagree just a tad, let's say you went to Montco and Montco had a radio station or you did some communication, you want that on your resume under relevant experience, and you didn't get an associate's degree, but you went a couple semesters there, but you want to list that
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
experience,
hmm
then you would list it so
Mhm.
that it makes
So-
sense.
So if you're managing editor of the community college newspaper, you definitely want to mention that, right?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yep, it's
Employers love community college students. They really do. They know that, they've taken a different road and they have the tenacity to continue and come through. So it's always great to have a community college on your resume, especially if you have experience attached to it.
But again, it's optional.
Sir,
You just want to talk
What
about
happens-
Temple.
oh, sorry. What happens if, okay, so I'm going to apply for one position that's maybe a bit different than some of the other positions I'm applying for, because I'm a journalism major, but one publication I apply for is Motor Trend, which I've read for over a decade easily. I read Motor Trend and I apply as a copywriter there. Should I mention the fact
Hey, Hal.
that for high school I went to I learned how to fix cars? That was my high school.
Yeah, Hal.
But then
and
how do I send a separate, should I just send a separate email with like the other information? Because I'm not going to put that, I'm not going to put my high school on my LinkedIn.
Well, there are certain high schools, if it's extremely relevant, that you would put on. For the most part, you're not going to put high school on this resume. But that's we talked about this for that particular job, for that particular posting, only that one. You might put that high school experience on there and then talk about it a little bit, maybe a line in your cover letter, because you have a special interest in that field, okay? But these are special cases we can talk about. What I want you all to know about, and you're all living now in the world of applicant tracking systems, okay? Which means when you're applying for jobs, especially, I don't know, on big competitive jobs on Indeed or what else, Karen?
Well,
On the other-
LinkedIn, or, I mean, it's not even just all the big competitive jobs. Over 80% of employers are using this because the applicant tracking systems are so inexpensive now that, you know, ideally, if it's a company of over 20 people, there's a good possibility that they're using an ATS system.
I
There
would
just
say,
is.
50% of our employers on Klein Connect who are smaller agencies are not using this yet, but as Karen
Okay.
said, more are. I think you're right, that number, like more than 20 people, you might have to assume there's an applicant tracking system. You might see one of these in the URL. For example, Temple. You cannot apply for a job at Temple University without going through the Taleo applicant tracking system. And you know it's an applicant tracking system because you can hover over the URL and see this, or it might look like one of these, okay? What these things do, it reads those keywords we've been talking about. Okay, and that's why you want to pay so much attention to the keywords that are being put in these job postings, because if you don't have enough of them, you may not get through their applicant tracking system. It's software that eliminates people and will rate which resume has the best match for what they're looking for. Unfortunately, and we've experienced this, it doesn't always mean that the best candidate gets through.
And that's where networking comes in.
That's where networking comes in. And that's
Yep.
why you make the extra effort maybe to talk to the recruiter. When we just hired someone in the Career Center, the person, we knew there was a good person, a good candidate, whose resume didn't get through the applicant tracking system. So we had to go back to HR and say, we want to see this resume. So that's kind of an insurance policy if you can network your way into, all right? But there are ways that we can work with this applicant tracking system. Okay, you all have access through the Temple University Career Center, and I'm going to show you, to this tool called JobScan. And what JobScan does, I'm going to take you right there, right now. You all see this? Under resources, online resources for the Temple University Career Center, you scroll down here, you're going to come to JobScan. Okay? And what you do is you upload your resume. You can also upload your cover letter.
And your LinkedIn profile too.
Your LinkedIn profile. It's
Yep.
going to read it for keywords, and you're going to copy and paste the job posting, and it will give you a score. And it'll give you an idea of whether you're going to get through the applicant tracking system. Karen?
Yeah. And the thing is what I tell students to do is, I mean, oftentimes they'll say that employers put this at 80%, that they're looking for 80% matches, but I don't think that's the case. Not every employer has different percentages. So I'll hear from a student going, Karen, I can't get it above 60%. Still put the application in, because you don't know what percentage that the employer has put their level at, their boundary at. But also too, some employers don't use it for keywords. They just use it to manage the application. But what this does is this is an exercise to show you what keywords are needed in your industry. Like when you scan your LinkedIn profile, they ask you to take 3 job postings and scan it several times. You can actually see the thread and see what the combination is, because you can't tailor your LinkedIn profile. But this is how you do it. And then what Luann is showing you right now is one of my favorite features, is at the very bottom of the job scan, they will literally connect you with jobs that are on Indeed right now that you are qualified for, that your skill set is in the wheelhouse of these particular positions. So students always like that because they said, oh, look at all these positions. But I also like it because I tell students to look at the titles of those positions, and you can use those in addition for your keyword searches, because different positions are called different things with different companies. You know, for instance, I'm a career coach here, but at Bucks County Community College, I was a student planning strategist. You know, I wouldn't have known that, but when you go to the bottom of the job scan, it gives you ideas for different titles. But this is an amazing tool. If you were not a Temple student or Temple alumni, this would cost you over $30 a month. And as long as you have an active TUID, you can use this for however long you want to.
So again,
I
this-
have a question.
Mhm.
I'm from Amy Capel's class, by the way, but so I don't know if you guys were going to touch on this, but aside from like JobScan, what other like websites would you recommend that like are unique for matching you with a job, or like shows you like a unique like set of like jobs, I guess, aside from like the regular like LinkedIn or Indeed? I do use like Climb Connect and Handshake, but right now, and I know that you talked about this earlier, right now it's just a lot of internships, like a bunch of internships, and I'm just kind of like, I mean, not that I'm like too good for an internship, but I am a senior.
Right.
You know,
Well, we have another one. I don't know, Luann, if you can go to it. It's called Career Shift.
yeah. let me see.
And it's on the online resources, and we actually pay thousands of dollars for this website. And what it is it's basically a one-stop shop. It pulls in from websites, from LinkedIn, from Indeed, Career Builder, Monster. It does all of that. I don't know. I don't think I have control of the.
Hang on. Let me, sorry. I think I
Just
can
go back. Yeah, just go back to the link.
Yeah, and it's right.
Go resources. Yeah, and go to Career Shift. All the way down, right there, up there. Go Career Shift, and this literally is an online job. And you can hit the FAQ, and there's a 5-minute YouTube video to show you how to use the entire website. And one of the things I love about this website is not only does it give you great job postings, which you can sort out according to location and levels of experience, but it'll also give you contacts for everybody in that company that you're applying for, with their telephone numbers and their email addresses too. And you can put your entire job campaign on this. One things, I don't know if we're going to be touching upon this, Luann, just real quickly though, you want to create a job search and manage your job search the same way you manage your coursework. For those of you who just want to, do it this way, make sure for every application you put it on a spreadsheet. Every application you have, you're putting on an Excel sheet, the name of the company, the title of the job, the day that you submitted the application, and then put another row in the day you followed up. Because you may be putting applications in, and it might be 2 months from now that you hear from somebody, and you're not going to remember what the job title was. But when you get on the phone, you want to be able to know what job you applied for, because you will be applying in that volume that you want to make sure you're managing your job search.
Hey guys, I want to be aware of your time, and we, this is clear. We're clearly going over an hour, and we understand if you've got to go. We will keep going, and we're recording this. If you can stay with us, fantastic. If you can't and you want a recording of all this, there will be other. We'll be doing this again as well. One thing I just realized. And we're going into interviewing, but one thing I just realized, we didn't cover cover letters here, but I do want to say that cover letters may be more important than ever. And we do have resume and cover letter workshops, but the one thing I want to say to you again about cover letters is you never want to copy and paste a cover letter. You want to write a unique cover letter for every single position. You want to craft it with those keywords. Use those keywords that they're asking for in the job posting. And you can always upload your cover letter to Klein Connect now and until you retire. No, we're just gonna say, now for forever.
We're going to be here forever, Luann, right?
All right. Yeah, I will. But I look at all the cover letters, and whether or not you're applying through Klein Connect or somewhere else, I will look at your cover letter and I will give you feedback. And it always helps. You can email me as well, and I'll show you emails in a minute. But
and if it says cover letter optional, send a cover letter.
Send it. Do not,
yes.
Do not just send the resume. Every time you send a cover letter, when they said optional, you're going to pay more attention. They're going to read those cover letters. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. We're gonna. So let's say you get to the interview. And again, Karen and I can do mock interviews with you, which I highly recommend, especially if you feel nervous and you really, you know, you want to go through this with someone. What you never want to do is wing it. You never want to go into an interview and not have said the words, the answers to some of these basic questions. Employers are not really creative.
Right.
They-
And this is
they
the
ask
perfect
same
time, yeah,
questions over
all
and
the time. Well, because no one but also too, this is the perfect situation, all of you, to practice your mock interviewing, because now more than ever, these first interviews are going to be done on Zoom.
Yep.
They're going to be done on Zoom, and you want to make sure you know how to use the platform, you know how to present yourself, you know how to answer those questions. So what better time to do a mock Zoom interview than right now, you know? And so I've been doing a lot of them lately. It's a great thing to do. So sign up for one. We're here. Go ahead, Luann.
Well, you know, and we do a workshop called, you know, Answer the Tough Questions. And the really surprising thing is seems to be the toughest one.
Yeah, it really gets everyone, right?
It
Because
gets
it's so
everyone.
general.
It should be simple. But when they're saying, tell me about yourself, they're not asking for your entire history. Well, when I grew up here and then I'm this and then that. They're really, you're looking to, you know, talk about, and you can go with the same guidelines as what Karen just told you about your LinkedIn introduction.
Right. 90 seconds or less.
Mhm.
90 seconds or less.
So it's, where are you now? Where have you been? Where are you going? And why are you interested? So it's kind of like that introduction you might have done at a career fair too. I'm a senior graduating in advertising. I'm really interested in graphic design. I've been creating and designing throughout college. You know, my last internship, maybe, well, you don't want to tell everything.
Right. No, you just want to, yeah, I think you could you know, I'm so excited about graduating. I had a great experience at Temple. Media and communications was just the perfect major for me, and all the different internships and projects that I did, I really feel like I'm ready. And when I was reading your qualifications for what you were looking for, it made me really excited to speak with you today.
Yeah. And then stop.
That's it. That's it.
You don't want to be talking and talking and talking till you
Right.
go down the rabbit hole and you're like, I don't
Yeah.
even know what I'm talking about anymore.
Or if there's if you have some connection to the company, or you've used the product, or it jumped out, if you for some reason put that in the introduction on tell me something about yourself. But they're just looking to see how you're going to start the conversation. That's all.
But the second question, if you don't answer it in this one, is, you know, why did you apply? Why are you interested in our organization? Okay. And you want to be ready for that. You want to make sure you have done your homework, that you know who they are, what they do, who their clients are, their mission.
Right. Yeah. And you want to be authentic about it. I mean, think about, why do you want this position? Because the more authentic you are in your job search, the more authentic you're going to be in your interview, and the more success you're going to have. You just will be.
Right. So what I would say is practice this. Do not assume you're going to get in the room and then start talking. You really want to practice this thing, and we're here to help you practice
Yep.
that. All right. You know, this is one question you might get. What is your greatest achievement? I think they're looking for a story. What is something you've done that you're really proud? It might come out like this. What is something you've done you're really proud of? Or what challenge have you had in your life, and how did you, what did you do? How did you?
Which is right now, you all have an amazing answer to that question
Yes, you do.
now. Tell me of a challenge that happened. Maybe you were on an internship and the internship got cut short, and now you're home in your middle of a pandemic looking for a job. What did you do? You gathered yourself up, you got everything together, and this is what you did. You know, there's a lot of different answers to that.
But you want to have a few stories in your pocket, kind of ready to go. If they asked you a question like this, you know, you could use it as, well, I had to talk about a challenge. that you had and what you did to overcome it. So, but be prepared for a question like that. This is the one that trips people up too. You want to know what is going to be the answer to this question. What is your biggest weakness, or what is something, what would your last employer say was something you have to work on? They could ask this a number of different ways. Karen?
And whatever you do, don't lie about it or think that, oh, I'm going to say I'm a perfectionist, you know, or I don't have any, you know, be like when I work with students on this question, I literally ask them, what is your biggest weakness? Just honestly. And then we take that weakness and we turn it into a positive. Like I had one student that says that sometimes I get so focused on my projects that I lose track of time because I'm so engrossed in what I'm doing. And, you know, that's something you can turn to a benefit and say, you know, I love what I do and I'm so interested in it that sometimes I lose track of time and I spend too much time making it perfect. So what he did was when he would start on a project, he put a timer on his watch. He goes, I have an hour to spend on this. And so what you want to do is talk about the weakness, turn it into a positive, and then make sure you show them how you are turning that into a strength. What have you done to no longer make that a weakness? It might be public speaking. So if you're will never consider yourself a strong public speaker, say, but you know what? I took a class in public speaking and I forced myself to practice. They want to hear a solution to that answer. All right. But just be honest about it, but talk to us. I had one student say to me, well, I really don't like to be told what to do. I don't like to be supervised. Not a good one. Okay. There's not much we could say. I mean, if it was a job where you had to work independently a lot, we can work with it. There's never been a weakness that we couldn't turn into a strength. So, but don't lie. Be truthful about it.
And this is another question you may get in a number of different forms, but basically they're saying, why should we hire you? Why should we hire you over someone else? And this is where you can really talk about those strong soft skills that you have, your strong work ethic or organization skills, but give an example and something that really relates to the organization. Karen, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. And once again, it's all about being prepared. And those of you that are seniors and have internships, you understand what it's like to be interviewed. So you're just following it in the same, footsteps of interviewing. This is going to be a little bit at a different level because the internship is also for you to learn. Here, you're showing an employer, why should you hire me? Why are my skills worthy of a salary? So the tone of it is a little bit different than an internship is too.
This is one that folks really can mess up on too, because at the end, oftentimes the interviewer is going to say, do you have any questions for me? And you'll think, no, you answered all my questions. You do not want to say that. You do not want to say, nope, I'm good, right? You want to make sure you have some questions in your back pocket that they could not have possibly covered.
Yeah, one of the questions I don't particularly like that question, tell me about your culture, because I think at this point it's very cliched, and what are they going to say? Oh, it's really bad here. They're not going to say that. But someone had said to me, one of the questions I like to ask is, can you share with me a great project that you worked on, or something that recently made you excited about working here? And you can be able to tell by their reaction about what type of workplace that it is. Because remember, even though you are they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them. It's like, Luann always laughs when I say it, it's like dating, and that question, I always like that question about, can we dive a little bit deeper into the training aspect of it? What is your onboarding experience like? And then the question I always like I ask, and this is for a reason, and I asked it with Temple, and I always preface it with, I know that we have gone through a lot of the responsibilities of the job, which really make me excited about what's to come. But I was curious for the person that's starting this position, what is the priority the first 30, 60, 90 days to help the team? What will the priorities be? And And typically when I work with students, I say to them, can you tell me why I asked that question? And students will say, well, because you want to seem like you're interested and everything else. I'm like, yeah, but I'm a salesperson, and that's my background. So as a salesperson, I always wanted to know what was important to them. When you ask that question, what's the priority the first 30, 60, 90 days, which is a question I asked when I interviewed with Temple. The woman that was to become my boss said, well, we really need somebody who knows how to review resumes. And we're really behind on our program requests. So we need somebody who's comfortable with speaking in front of a class. So then I said, well, I hope through our conversation, I was able to share with you and get the impression that I review resumes every day, and I do workshops for classes at Bucks 2 to 3 times a week. So I think that's something I could really help you out with. So what am I doing? I'm giving the employer specific reasons to hire me. I'm finding out what's important to them right now. And then I'm backing it up with, yeah, look, I can come in and I can help you with that, because that's what the salary's for. That's why they're paying you. So I always like that 30, 60, 90-day question, because it really hones in on what they need now. And then you can come up at the end and show how you can help with that.
There's another question, and something to the effect of, what are the characteristics of your best employees or your best employee? Well, how would you phrase that, Karen?
I don't know. I mean, I just think it's like, what do you think takes, what type of characteristics take the most to achieve here, or success, or people who have thrived, that type of thing.
What's the kind of person who thrives in this environment?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's kind of culturally.
Yeah, I'm not.
All right, so this is critical, guys. Whether it's a virtual interview, an in-person interview, I don't care what kind of interview, you thank everybody who interviewed you, who did something for you. A thank you note is huge. There are some employers who will not employ you if you don't write a thank you note.
Right. And don't send the same note to everyone.
Yep.
We figure it out at the Career Center. We all meet with the applicants, and we'll get, some of them, believe it or not, don't send emails. And if an email thank you within 24 hours, and if they don't, that's definitely a mark against them. And then we'll compare when we do get thank you notes from applicants, and we'll go, what did they put on yours? And when we get the same one or a group thank you, don't ever do that. Make it individualized, 2 or 3 sentences. That's why as soon as you're done with your interview, take a few moments, go sit down, have a cup of coffee somewhere, write notes on everything that you talked about with each interviewer, so then you can make that a personalized thank you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to be really honest with you right now. You're going into a market where you don't have as much negotiation power as you did a month ago. Right? Because now there are more people in the market, more people looking for jobs. So it is a buyer's market, let's say. Still, you do want to negotiate. You do want to have a conversation, and there's some rules here. Karen, I put up some rules here.
Right.
See what you think. What do you think?
No, I think it's great. The thing is like Lou and I talk about, when you're starting your career out, there's not a lot of room to negotiate sometimes, but you can at least ask. But one of the things we always say, it is a conversation, not a confrontation. And that's why so many people get uncomfortable with that aspect of negotiating the salary. The first thing you want to do with what Luann has up here, it's a great slide, do your homework. Go on salary.com, go on LinkedIn, find out what the typical salary is for your level of experience in your geographical location. Making $38,000 in New York versus $38,000 in Pittsburgh is a huge difference. Like, my very first job offer was in New York, and my dad and I sat down, make a budget for what you're going to need. You have to decide what you're going to work for. And when we sat down and looked at the budget, my dad said to me, Karen, you can't take this job. You can't live in New York City and pay off your student loans and have rent and, extra money for food. And I had to literally turn around and say to the employer, I'm sorry, I can't accept this position unless there is an increase in salary. And they said no. They go, I'm sorry, we can't offer you any more money. And I walked away from it. And then 2 weeks later, they called me back and they said, what do you think about an additional salary? And then we'll put you in Philadelphia. And I said, oh, okay. You know, so you really want to know, do your homework, know how much money you need and what the market is asking about. And in that first interview, you never ask about salary unless they do, you know, and even if they ask you about salary, deflect. You don't really have to tell them anything. You can say, I'd really like to know more about the job before we discuss salary. And whatever you do, do not ever give them a specific number. I was doing a mock interview with an engineering student who was had a master's degree. He had a lot of experience. And I did my homework before we did the mock interview. And I said, what type of salary are you looking for? And in that industry, it was about $87,000. When I asked him the salary, he said 75. And I said, I just got a great deal. He actually sold himself short. So that's why Luann and I are saying, always pick a range. And what you want to do is go in with the salary you want. And you put that salary you want at the bottom of the range, because the majority of the time, that is what the employers are going to give you. And then you take the bottom of that range and you add 5% onto that. So that's how you decide what salary that you want. If they give you a salary that's beneath that, there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm just wondering if there's any room to negotiate with that. Temple, when I applied to Temple, I found out what the T level was. And I literally went in there and I thought they better not give me the bottom of that T level. And also too, this is why I'm mentioning this. Do not take it personally. Because as soon as you take it personally, you've lost your power. So automatically when Temple offered me the job, they offered me the bottom of the T level. But because I did my homework, I knew what to offer. And you know how I got more money? This is all I said. That wasn't the number I was looking for.
That said,
that's it.
That said, we're in a little different time right now. Again, you're not going to be able to negotiate a lot. But if someone's talking to you about money, they're already sold on you. So know that. You do have a little bit of power, a little bit of negotiating. If I've gone, you know what? I really want Victoria. Darn it, I want Victoria. I'm going to offer her this low thing, hoping she'll take it. And then if she says no, it's going to upset me, because I've already in my mind eliminated everybody else.
And you've invested so much time.
I've already decided I want Victoria. And this is kind of what happens. So you are in a position you might be able to ask for a couple thousand more or something else or some other benefit. Yeah.
So I had a couple interviews in the last month or so while this all started to pick up. One question was, or I should say, the woman already said, let me tell you what the salary is. So she flat out told me. So is that would you say a good thing? Or in some cases, is that typical for them to say, by the way, this is the salary?
So it might be. I mean, especially right now, depending on the organization, there are some managers and hiring managers who are being told, this is it. And you don't have any wiggle room. And they don't have the ability to adjust. But it just depends.
Right, and
that's
a
little something.
Right, and I mean, sometimes too, is that what's going on there is maybe they know that the salary isn't where it should be. A lot of times employers will do that if it's lower than the industry. But also too, you have to decide, okay, what's important to you right now? It may not be the salary, but maybe you're living at home and it's a great company and there's tons of room for you to, be able to do it.
It's at my dream company.
Right. Sure. And if it's your dream company, and also too, it's like and you can just either accept that salary. And also too, one thing I want to say is when you get an offer, do not accept it right there. You do not have to accept it. You can just say, I really appreciate you sharing the salary with me. I'd like to learn more about benefits and additional aspects of working for the company because this is my dream company. And then when they offer to you, say, what period of time do I need to get back to you? Never accept it or feel like you have to. And any company that pressures you to is not a company you want to work for.
So you're not saying yes, but you're not saying no.
Yeah, just say, I'm really excited about this offer. Can you tell me when you need to get my answer?
But
And then if you're,
the fact that they said what the salary is, would you say that that's a positive in the interview? Because that was one of like the last things that she had mentioned.
well, I think that, I mean, it's a positive because obviously she wants to make sure that you understand what the salary is. To me, it's a little bit of a negative saying they're probably not paying the industry high. You know, that this out, they don't want to. And the thing is, I think the thing is, it's a positive for you because she's thinking, I really like this young woman, but she needs to know what the salary is before we go forward.
She's also testing, are you still interested?
Right.
Still interested.
Right.
Because
And then you can
tell you what it is. Are you going to hang in here for this?
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with saying, typically the salary, like I said, it's a conversation. You can do what you want to do. I have students that say, I'm just going to accept it. And then I'll worry about negotiating for my next job, But if you're saying, oh, I'm taking a salary hit of $5,000 less than what I want to make, and they're only giving me 1 week of vacation, ask them saying, well, is there some flexibility on vacation time or, working if you want to, I
do want to put this other thought in your mind. And again, being sensitive to where we are and the fact that you have a job offer right now, and it's got benefits and it's your dream company and you just need to get in there. The other thing that you might be able to negotiate for is to review your salary in 6 months. Because you have to have a little bit of empathy for companies right now, not knowing exactly what the future is, but they're going to just go with you, right? They see something, they know eventually they're going to want you in there. And maybe if the salary's low, get them, and it'd be nice if you could get it in writing or at least verbally that you could review it after we're past everything that's going on.
Right.
In 6 months.
Yeah. And that's another great aspect, Luann. When we say get it in writing, it doesn't mean that this isn't a contract and it's legal at all. This is just something. So like I had a student that was hired for $41,000 and she spoke directly with her boss who offered her the salary. And she's like, oh, great. Can you just send me an email confirming everything we spoke about? So he did. So when she got all the paperwork from HR, the salary was saying $38,000 a year. And she's like, Karen, what do I do? So we walked through what she should do. So that's why it's always good to get it on paper. But legally, that paper doesn't mean anything. They can pull a job offer at any time they want. They can change the salary. They can do anything. But at least you have something in black and white to start that conversation as to what's going on with it. So you're all on the same page when you start. But if you just got an offer from your dream company and this is where you want to go for it. That's amazing. That's great news. It's just a first step. That's all.
And
I
again,
also have a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I know we talked about this earlier with the thank you. How long of a window can you thank the recruiter that you interviewed with?
Well, ideally you want to within 24 hours.
Yeah, I would say 24 hours now.
But how long has it been? How long has it been?
It's just been a week.
Okay, we'll do it
I
now.
interviewed last week.
A week is better than nothing, right?
Right.
I think everyone's understanding there's a lot of things going on right now. So, I think it's still okay. What do you think, Karen?
Yeah, or you can use it as a combine thank you and follow up. Just say, hey, I just wanted to reach out and thank you again. It was great working with you on this opportunity. I was just also wanting to follow up to see where they were in their decision-making process. So make it like a combination type of thing. So it won't seem as glaring. Because I typically tell my students, if you don't send an email, a thank you between 24 and 48, then don't send one at all. I don't know. I just think, but I think if you do this with a follow-up, a combo follow-up thank you, you can get yourself over the hump with that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sure. And then also too, and regarding the recruiters, if you're working with a recruiter and for some reason that you don't get that position, all right, still send another follow-up and say to their recruiter, you know, of course I was disappointed that I didn't get the position, but I'm a big fan of this company and it was really great working with you. If you see any other opportunities that are available, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact me regarding them. You always want to keep that window open, always.